Gentlemen, we are having this conversation and we are having it right now. My name is Ricky Boros and I know exactly what you're feeling because I was there. I was in a relationship. I was married to a woman. You know, you gotta say that these days. I was married to a woman and now we are in the process of a divorce. I'm gonna explain to you exactly how we got to this point and what I believe could have been done to prevent this situation from happening. And if you are a woman and you're watching this video, thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say, because this is very, very important. There are so many good men out there who want the best for their spouse, who want to be the #1 man in their life, and this is where it starts. Let's get into it. So first of all, I'm a Christian. When I met my spouse, we were both going to a legitimate Bible college. We were in all of our classes together, and I thought she was a really attractive woman, and I just followed her everywhere. And then she eventually, asked me out for some coffee, and we started having a conversation, and then it was great. We were having so much fun together. We were just going places. We weren't thinking about anything else. We just wanted to spend time with each other, and those were so nice, when you just didn't care about what you had to do, your obligations, whatever. You could just go and you could have fun. You could go to the beach, you go for walks, you go to have coffee, you can do whatever you want. And if you want to go running together, you can go running together. In the beginning, it seemed like this was all gonna work out. It was really, really nice. About 6 months into this relationship, I wanted to marry this woman, and so I did. I proposed to her, but before I proposed, God was putting it so clearly to wait. He said, do not get married right now. Do not marry this woman right now. Don't do it right now. I want you to wait. I remember exactly where I was. I was with my mother. We were picking up my sister from her job as a waitress, and I was sitting in the car as my mom went inside to go get her. I was 19 when I proposed, and I was 21 when I got married. I sensed in my spirit, God was just telling me to wait. Just said, wait, do not marry this woman right now. Don't do it. And I could sense this argument in me, like going back and forth. I said, no. When ends up happening? When you say no to God. All hell breaks loose. And that's exactly what happened. I don't blame my spouse at the time for the first 5 years, because I was just a radical stupid idiot. I just did not try to find real legitimate work. We struggled financially because I was just not actively seeking some kind of career. I was just going from dead-end job to dead-end job, and I wasn't thinking outside of the box. I wasn't thinking about advancing. I wasn't thinking about, someday we want to have a house, someday we want to have like kids and all that, which we never did. We never had children, which is amazing. I think we can both agree that we're glad that didn't happen. So fast forward 10 years, 11 years, and it is not always pleasant. Every single weekend we were fighting and we were arguing, we were disagreeing, and a big part of that problem was we were trying to change the other person's mind. And after the stress, just so much bitterness and so much fighting, we decided to separate. Now, how we separated was actually kind of an interesting story. So we bought an RV and we decided to just put everything in storage and just to go clear across the country. What we wanted to do was to start our lives like somewhere new, somewhere fresh, out of New York State. We thought New York State was the problem, right? It wasn't. We were the problem. So we could not agree enough to enjoy the whole experience. We were just constantly fighting over stuff. I can remember punching in GPS coordinates because I don't know the area. I can't figure out where I am, so I just punch it in and I start following it. I turned down a dirt road and all of a sudden my spouse started screaming at me because I was going on this dirt road. I'm just going to follow the directions. I don't want you to drive this RV because you're not comfortable with it. But she wouldn't listen. She wouldn't accept the fact that, okay, this is where we're going, let's just see what happens. So we start driving down the road and everything, and she just keeps arguing, keep fighting. And it was this kind of stuff that just kept happening over and over and over again. I can remember that we were arguing so much, I could literally feel the skin on the back of my skull. It went completely numb. And I don't know if that's a medical problem at that point, but that's not good. We hit most of the major parks and we saw some really amazing things across America. It is beautiful out west. We got to Oregon, and what ended up happening was that she got a phone call about a family emergency. And after we discussed it and I analyzed the situation, I simply said, you have to go back, you have to be with your family right now. So what ends up happening was it gave her some money, and then she flew back to New York State. She was able to be there for her family, and I respected that. So here I am. It's September. We moved clear across the country. I'm in an RV. I have the cat, and I have the car that, you know, we're towing behind, and I don't have a job. I got about $4,000 left. So I get the phone call. My spouse tells me, I'm not coming back. I can't leave my family. I'm not coming back to you. I just can't leave them. What are you gonna do? She's like, I need that car. So I told her, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna pray and I'm gonna think. So I literally stayed in Washington State because I wanted to see Washington. I was close enough to it. And I stayed there for 2 weeks, thinking, praying, what am I gonna do? What I ended up doing was I just said, I'm gonna start heading back. Just like that. I literally drove my RV clear across the country. This is it, by the way. And as I'm driving all by myself, something starts to get so familiar with I'm not being yelled at. I mean, I'm literally going about my business. I can remember specifically I was making coffee and I spilled something. I wasn't getting yelled at for it. And so I just started to get used to this familiar feeling of not being yelled at. Not under tense circumstances. I was just doing normal things like most people do, and there was no consequences for it. So I got to the state of Iowa, and I noticed on my map it said I'm really close to LeClaire, and LeClaire is actually where they have the American Pickers Museum. So I ended up telling my spouse, stopping in LeClaire so I can rest, and I'm gonna go check out the American Pickers Museum because it's right over here. So the problem that started right there was going and doing something fun. Oh, that was a problem. So what ends up happening was I look at that situation and I said, well, I'm here. I'm in LeClaire. I'm just going to go in. So I go. I check out the American Pickers Museum. Mike and Frank weren't there. Danielle wasn't there. So the main people on the show weren't there. They had people who were hired to take care of it while they were away. They were actually on the road. And we probably just drove right past each other, which would have been cool. So I get to a point where I get to Indiana, and I made a decision right in there. I called up my spouse and I told her, we are going to stay separated, and I am going to take the RV and go down to my mother's house where I'm going to stay for the winter. Of course, I called my mother and I told her the situation, and I was telling her, like, hey, you know, things are not good right now with me and Sharon, and I need a place to stay. And she was saying, of course, come back to the house. I have a spare room for you. Go right ahead. My mother was a widow at the time, and for her to have company in the house, especially, you know, one of her children there staying in the house, seemed pretty good for her. So it all kind of worked out together. So after I broke the news to my spouse, she had a meltdown. She's like, please don't leave. You know, I want you to stay with me. Let's, you know, I need to find a place to just start working again. You know, let's just get back together. And I made the decision, and it was my choice. I said, no, we cannot. We need to clear our heads. We need to clear our heads because there wasn't enough consistency. Whenever there was a problem, it was magnified. We just yelled at each other. And this literally went on for 11 straight years. I was at a point in my life where I said, no, we are separating. We're gonna not see each other, and we're just gonna let God heal us. That's what I really wanted to do. I wanted us to separate, go after God, and then God brings us back together. That's honestly what I really wanted. I'll never forget how painful it was to look into my spouse's face, to see that look in her eyes, knowing that I was leaving her and she was left to stay at her mom's place. It was just the most gut-wrenching feeling, but I had to do it. I had to. For our benefit, I had to leave her. You know, even right now, it grieves me that I had to go through that process where I had to separate myself from somebody that I wanted to take care of for the rest of my life. I wanted to be there, you know, every Saturday morning, you know, waking up and just having some awesome coffee and making her laugh. You know, hearing her laugh was always such an awesome thing for me. Being able to cuddle on the couch at night, being able to just like watch a program, even though I don't really care for watching TV at all. We would just sit down, we would watch Netflix, and we would watch an episode of 24 or Lost or X-Files. We went through that more than once. And we could connect on those subjects, and we could have really good conversations with that, and we would create a lot of memories with that. And those were the fun things, and those were the things that I really enjoyed doing, is making good memories and then going back to those, and those were really nice. But when all of that went away and it was time to get back to reality where we had to live with each other, it just sucked. I did not leave her to find some other woman. That's just wrong. That's wrong. I left her so we could separate and go after God on our own, and let God heal us individually, and God can bring us back together. That's what I wanted. As soon as I got back to my mother's house, I knew that I needed to do 3 things. I need to go back to church, I need to get a car, and I need to get a job. I was able to find a job pretty quickly, and one of my mom's widow friends actually had a car that was her deceased husband's car. We fixed it up for about $1,000, and then that car was up and running. Lasted about a year and a half. So like the first couple weeks of our separation, my wife was actually sending me all sorts of texts, how, I hate this, I really miss you, we should be together, we should be enjoying our time together. And I would not allow that to influence me, because that is not enough time to heal. 2 weeks apart, maybe it works for some people. For me, I was still in a state of hostility. When you're with somebody who abuses you, you cannot just go back to that. One of the things that was really starting to take an effect on me was going back to church. Getting into a good Bible-believing church. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to like everything about it at first. I actually did not like this church when I first got there, because there was a projector screen and the pastor was broadcasting from another location in Rhode Island, and I was looking at this going, you really come here to do this? I'm like, why do the people do this? I eventually just said, whatever, I'm just going to keep going in this. It's better than where I was. It's better than not going to church, and it's a whole lot better than, I'm not being yelled at all the time. Now, the reason why I'm going over this is because when you get a right relationship with God, you will understand what a marriage should be. Because He is the author of marriage. He is the author of relationships. He is a God of relationships. You're like, well, I don't like religion, I don't like all this God talk. Well, that's probably why you got all your problems. It's because you're avoiding somebody who can solve those problems. And He really is the one and only solution to all. He is the answer to all, and that is why I'm making this video, is to tell you that, is that in my experience, God really is the answer to it all. Jesus Christ is the answer. Every Sunday, we would get together and we would worship God during that time by being vulnerable, allowing myself to open up to God, to pour out my thoughts, to just sing the songs, to sing the worship songs, to hear the messages, which were spot on for exactly what I needed to hear at that moment, at that same moment. These are the things I'm trying to get through to you. This is what I did to heal week after week after week. Imagine what your life could be like if you went to church and you worshipped a God that actually cared about you, and you heard a specific message that's going to change your whole life. These are the things that I was doing week after week after week. And it took about a full year for me to just heal from this disastrous relationship. Even right now, I feel better. Even right now, I don't have anxiety. I don't have stress. I believe I have value. I believe that I can do anything I put my mind to. I believe that God has equipped me and called me to solve problems that I've never seen before, because I'm constantly being put in those situations where I've never seen this particular problem within my trade or within any other area in life, and I'm able to just solve the problem simply by trial and error and not ever quitting. So the reason why I keep harping on this thing called God is because I'm not trying to get you to think about your past, your spouse, and all those sort of things. I'm getting you into the present mode. I'm getting you in line with what you need to do right now in order to get healed. Because right now, you're just going to go back into, well, you know, my wife and my spouse did all these things. Right now, you're in a state where you're suffering. You can feel the hand of God just pulling you towards Him, just saying, come to me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden and are just burdened, and I will give you my rest. You know, take my yoke upon you, for it is light and it is easy. And that means it's doable. If you're in a relationship with somebody who's putting unrealistic expectations on you, it's going to destroy you as a man. You're going to feel like you're going to have to hit unrealistic expectations to satisfy this person. No. You need to be focusing on your gifts and talents in order to find that, like, hey, you know, I can solve this problem, and I can solve that problem, I can solve this problem. Because God put you on this earth for a very clear reason. Pay attention to this. You are put on this earth. You didn't put yourself here. Your master and your creator put you here. You got a calling on this world, and it ain't to argue with people and self-destruct. You have to analyze your situation and say, if I stay in this situation for the next 10 years, am I really gonna want to be here? I can remember hearing a mentor of mine, he said, 10 years from now, do you really want to be married to somebody who controls every decision that you make? Think about that. When I heard that, I said, no, I don't want to be married to somebody who's controlling every decision that I make, putting fear into me. You don't put fear into your spouse. That's not God. So during this time where I'm going to church, I'm worshiping God, I'm praising His awesome name, every single day I'm spending time reading the Bible. Now, when I was with my spouse, my ex-wife, I was literally reading this book every single day, and I was trying to get something out of it that was, you know, what should I be doing? Now it's been about 2 years since we've been separated, almost to the day. There is no stress. I do not feel stressed. And I'm not talking about like you get in the car, you drive away, you're not hearing anybody yell at you, but they're yelling at you in your head. They're yelling at you, telling you, you know, you're a loser, you'll never make it, you'll never succeed at life, you'll never do anything like productive, you're stupid. I was just in a place where I wasn't being constantly bombarded by all this chronic negativity, but rather I was being influenced. I was surrounding myself with people who were influencing my thinking. That's important. To be around people who you want to be like. You got to get around at least 5 people who are living a kind of lifestyle that you want to live, and then you simply model what they're doing. So there has been a consistent flow of God's peaceful presence in my life every single day. Now, I've never been able to experience this ever in my life. I have never been able to wake up stress-free, anxiety-free, go about my day and act like life is actually pretty good. Do I miss that woman? Do I miss Sharon? Yes, I really do. I miss the good things that came out of that marriage. But I would not go through that marriage again to get the good things, but to have all the bad things happen as well. So as this consistent flow of God's peace, which is healing me even to this day in this moment, there's just this very powerful peace from the living God that you can have right now. It is free for you to have, and all you gotta do is accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and allow Him to give you this peace. One of the books that I actually read, which I gave away to a friend, I'm going to show you a picture of right here, is called Jesus Calling. It's a daily devotional, and it really ministered to me when I needed it most. And it was like God was speaking His word to me, but on a very personal level. I read that book every day. I read it consistently, and I just knew that this was speaking directly to my heart and soul. So as I was consistently calling upon the name of the Lord to just be healed from this relationship, I read the book Jesus Calling every single day. And I want to read a portion of that to you today. So right now it's November 19th, and it says, "Leave outcomes up to me. Follow me wherever I lead, without worrying about how it will all turn out. Think of your life as an adventure, with me as your guide and companion. Live in the now, concentrating on staying in step with me. When our paths lead to a cliff, be willing to climb up it with my help. When we come to a resting place, take time to be refreshed in my presence. Enjoy the rhythm of life. Live close to me. You already know the ultimate destination of your journey, your entrance into heaven. So keep your focus on the path just before you. Leaving outcomes up to me." And then it has scripture below it where it says in John chapter 10 verse 4, "When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of him, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice." Psalm chapter 27 verse 13 and 14, "I am still confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong. Take heart and wait for the Lord." Exodus chapter 15 verse 13, "In your unfailing love will you lead the people you have redeemed. In your strength you will guide them to your holy dwelling." So I made this video specifically to show you exactly how to start healing in this relationship. If you want a copy of this Jesus Calling book, I'm going to leave a link in the description below so you can go straight to Amazon and you can just buy it right now. Because I believe with a book like this, it's going to minister to your needs right here, right now. So go ahead, get Jesus Calling and start reading it the day you get it in the mail. If you allow God to transform your life, if you allow God to transform your heart and your mind, you will absolutely see changes. So I'm making this video because I was inspired by a guy who reached out to me. He said, "Are you the guy who made the video about, your wife being, controlling or abusive or something like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." But we had a conversation. We started talking about, his situation, and I'm telling him what to do. And I told him that I was going to make this video, and this is actually going to be part 1, and I'm going to make part 2 the next day. We're going to keep this discussion going. So as I was talking with this gentleman, I prayed and I said, God, I want to leave your word with this man, and I want to give him something. And immediately, as I closed my eyes, I was thinking about this. Immediately, Matthew 10 came to me. I don't know what Matthew 10 says. I don't remember. I don't remember the whole Bible. I just know, okay, Matthew 10, I can just go look at it. Matthew chapter 10, and this is what it says. "And when he, being Jesus, had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits." And that spirit's coming inside. It says he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. This is the kind of God that I'm going to keep following, and if you want to keep following this kind of content, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification so you get another email or text or whatever, however they send out these videos, you get a confirmation that, hey, he's got another video. Go ahead, hit that little bell notification. And what Jesus is saying to you is that if you will call upon him, that you will have power. You're looking for power. They're looking for power. Not a power trip where you can control people, but a power in your spirit so you can have self-control, so that you can have peace, so that you can have the power of joy, and you can have the power of patience. When was the last time you actually had a real good sense of being you were patient, right? And what Jesus does is that he casts out evil that's within us. He casts out evil, he casts out the devil, he casts out all these sort of things. And I know you don't really want to hear them, but you could just go watch another video about some self-help video, wherever. But this is my story. This is why you're watching it all the way to the end, and this is what I'm sticking with. This is how I was able to start the healing process. And I tell you what, the peace that has been on me since, that is the word. It is peaceful. People everywhere have been asking me, "Ricky, how you doing?" I tell them, I am peaceful. I am peaceful. God's presence flows through me. It flows through me because I go to His Word, I go to my church, I sing the worship songs, and I surrender all to Him. I surrender to Him. And not only that, people are just taking a real good notice that, like, hey, you know, there's something different about him. But we'll keep going on. We'll keep making videos about that. We'll just keep going on. So get Jesus Calling. Read it today. If you don't have a Bible, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can get a Bible. So you can buy Jesus Calling, you can buy a Bible, and you can start reading up on this stuff. I encourage you to start reading in the Gospel of John. Read it carefully and start to pray. Ask God for direction. Ask God for help. Ask Him to lead you in the way that you should be going. And this is how it starts. You know, this is where you start fixing your marriage. This is how you start fixing your relationships, by working harder on yourself and working harder on changing somebody else's life. Because when you have peace, it's contagious to people. When you have confidence in what you're about to get into, that is attractive to people, especially your spouse. People are attracted to peaceful people, and this is why I'm telling you, is that you've got to get into a state of peace of mind, and then things are going to change. So I'll let you know what happens to me and my spouse on the next video, part 2, for, you know, what to do about a controlling wife. You know, thanks for watching this video, my friend. I will see you on the next one. Leave comments below. Let's have a discussion about this. Feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook. I'll leave a link in the description below for that as well. So remember, God loves you. He cares deeply for you. And I will see you on the next video. Bye for now.